Welcome back. A whole, 3 hours later for us. Welcome back to High Tales with the Lit Sisters. And we are on our second episode of Onyx Storm. So we're going to be chapter 15 through 27.
Correct. You are correct, man.
In this episode,
we are doing something special for this one where we are just having a Lit Sisters weekend.
Woo woo!
What has been your favorite part of our new take a weekend away from the kids, listen to a book together that at times gets a little spicy and awkward?
I feel like you're leading in to a response.
Oh, no, that was not. This is just me setting the stage of what this weekend has been so far.
Yeah.
So it literally is, we listen to the book together.
Uh-huh.
During the listening is when we eat and snack and
Yes.
laugh about what's happening in the book.
Yes.
Then we take a break, record our reaction to those
That
book
part.
things.
That part.
Yes. And then we do it all over
I took
again.
a video of you while you were listening to a particular spicy scene we're going to talk about. That's probably my favorite.
Yeah.
It's kind of hilarious.
I'm not gonna, that was a really awkward one. And I'm glad that for our audio part, I put it on like 2x speed to be like, let's just go really fast. But then it just sounds like
in a circular motion.
It's talking about
giving pressure in the right place that I need.
It was so awkward. I couldn't make eye contact with you during that time.
It's okay. My camera was on you, so we can all remember it forever.
Great.
That's
great.
probably my favorite. You're blushing.
Okay. Well, my favorite part was just putting my feet up and not doing anything for anybody but myself.
The lack of people.
Responsibility. I felt
Sorry,
like I feel like I'm in my 20s again. Like I have no responsibility this weekend.
Yeah, we're like purposely working, essentially.
Okay. That's what happens. As millennials, we have to have multiple revenue sources. So we're just trying everything.
Free.
No, I'm just
we
kidding.
basically are assigning ourselves a group
Homework.
project.
No, okay. This is actually a good, like, I need to take a break. So let me get a hobby that gives me, like,
Yeah.
forces me to take some time.
To escape
To not,
reality.
yes.
And then talk about it.
Exactly. The first thing about driving accountability
If you don't
is you
want-
measure. What
Yeah.
doesn't get measured doesn't get done. If I say we have to do this podcast every week, we need to record and read enough
Yeah.
for weekly launches.
Right.
This is me just driving accountability.
If you're not wanting to escape reality and then talk about it, what are you honestly doing right now?
You're living in the reality and talking about
There are
it.
people who don't escape reality either way that we escape reality right now. They are just out there sober living this world
Well, no.
with no dragons and no weed.
See, I think everybody has their shtick. Okay, we
Yeah.
use dragons and yeah,
Exactly.
exactly. And some people use alcohol. Some people
There are
like
people
I
not
also
doing
use
either of
food.
those.
I also use food. Some people use exercise.
We forgot about that one.
Some people use philanthropy. Like we need to get some of the good ones on our list.
Maybe Mom was right and we need a better class of friends.
We are each other's class of friends.
That's what I would say.
Mom, you need to raise a better class of friends.
Sorry, Mom.
Okay. But where we landed, okay? Let's do like a status update of the team.
Right.
Xaden is now Professor Xaden,
Profess.
which also means him and Violet are no longer,
Article 8, Section 1.
they cannot be together. It's against the code of conduct.
Yes. And Atos was like, denied.
Yes. But he's also still venin, but he's protected in the wards. So
It's a little better.
it's a little better,
controlled.
but still they can't do anything more than kiss.
Right.
They're done.
Only
with that.
kissing.
Okay. Like they found venin inside the wards.
Right.
And there are spies. Somehow people know information is getting out too easily.
There's a rat somewhere.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sawyer still hasn't joined anything. He still in the infirmary and like hasn't joined battle brief, even the things that he can physically do, even though he's on crutches.
Okay.
Quest Squad is going north with old people. And it's with a bunch of people that we don't know, but it also includes some that we do, including Professor Grady and Aura. Venin are hunting Idris, which we find out is the name for Andarna's breed. Irids, sorry. I did put Idris.
Idris Elba is in this?
Maybe I'm dyslexic, man, because that's all like the right letters. It's just in the wrong order.
It might have to do with the lit portion of these high tales.
It can't be that. It has to be.
You guys all also have to remember we have recorded and listened, and now we're on record. This is later in the lit day. Marissa's very Japanese right now.
I'm 31% way, and you're just jealous. That was just a jealous
No judgment,
dig.
man. No judgment.
I know it's not judgment. It's jealousy. Okay. Anyway, so the Venin are hunting Violet and Darna. So we go back to the start of class and this new, what are they calling it? Signet sparring?
I think something like that.
Yeah. And Xaden is the teacher. And the amphitheater that he created looks exactly like what's in Takaris.
Yeah.
What they actually fought in with the Venin. They got tricked into fighting the Venin. Xaden is like the teacher, and he had like built all of the awards. So they come walking in, and it's not like it's temperature resistant, so they can control the weather inside. It's basically designed so that signets can't get out and hurt anybody, but they can actually be leveraged safely.
Well, and they even can't get to like the other mat of other people. So you're not going to mistakenly kill somebody else on another mat.
Exactly. And so he's like, okay, everybody sit down. If you can wield, go over here. If you can't wield, over here. And he's like exerting his authority as a teacher now.
Yeah.
Because last year he was a student. Yeah. And he's like, excuse me, first wing or whatever. You got something that you need to tell the rest of the room? And this guy's like, yeah. You just graduated last year. Like, why do you think you could teach?
Teach?
Oh.
What makes you think you're a good teacher?
And so basically he's like, okay, let me show you. And he like puts him in his place so hard. Yeah. And so the third year comes and he's like in the pit. And that's what they call this whole arena, which again, I think will bode really well for a show or something. Like, welcome to the pit. Can't you just like imagine people walking around sitting, the rebel squad in the pit? Now it feels a little bit Saved by the Bell when we do that.
Now it's cheesy. We've overdone it.
Damn it. How do we make everything cheesy? Okay.
It's a gift.
So Xaden actually like doesn't have any weapons, and he's like got his like sword, and he's like, why don't you have any weapons? And he's like, I'll use them if I need them, but like I don't need them.
Yeah.
Like, and without even weapons or power, for the first like 3 or 4 moves, Xaden just makes him look like an idiot.
Yeah.
And the whole time, Violet's in his head like, that's so hot.
Yeah, their mind flirting is picking up big time. They're very horny.
And so they're fighting, and he's talking to him during it like, okay, what's your power? What is it that you do here? And we find out he's metallurgy, just like Sawyer.
Yeah.
Xaden he's like taking down this poor third year who does not know what he's doing.
Yeah.
Or does, but just looks like an idiot. And finally, Xaden's just like lets him go and is like, okay, here's what you should have learned here. You didn't use your power. You are the weapon.
Yeah.
You are using your weapon as the weapon. A sword doesn't do anything. If you lose the sword, you're left with nothing. You actually need to use yourself as a weapon. And he's like, you need to learn other people's weaknesses. You need to learn how to wield. The difference now is I kept my edge to myself. Now I want you to know every which way to take me down in case you catch me on the other side. He didn't say it like that because that has, He's like, we are not only going to learn from me, but you're going to learn from each other. So every single signet, you know how to counteract.
Yeah.
And then he just starts pulling people up. So he kicks everyone's ass. He finally gets to like Sorengale. He's like, you're not getting out of this, Sorengale. And he actually kind of uses this to be able to make out with her because they've been watched like hawks this whole time by all of Atos's little minions. He like makes it all dark. And the whole time he's like, feel for me. And she's like, that's cheating because we have a bond. If I'm fighting the enemy, I'm not going to have a bond with them. I just need to know how to fight you. And he's like, no, you need to learn how to kill me. Use the bond. And he's just like messing with her and stuff while she's like, I'm not going to try to strike you because it might hurt you. And so she finally pauses herself and is like, just reaches for the bond and just starts like feeling the bond. And he's like, that's right. And then he's like coaching her just basically how to take him down. And he's like, because you're the only one that can take me down.
That has the power to do that.
And so everybody on the outside, they're all excited for this, like, oh, it's awkward because they're not technically together, but they love each other, but he's professor and they're the powerful and everybody's like on their toes. And then he just like basically blocks everybody's view. And then all of a sudden you just see lightning strike. And then the professor like dissipates everything and walks away. And then Violet's just like dizzy in the middle.
Like, what the hell happened?
But it was really Xaden just like was telling her, because only you can kill me. And then he made out with her and lightning struck and then he's gone.
The way you just described that.
Yeah.
And the way it gave me a romantic ick.
Yeah.
As I was reading it, like I think you captured the vibe.
Yeah.
Of what I
was
Which
you
feeling.
Did not like the vibe.
The over dramatizedness of it. I think Xaden's getting a little theatrical, and I think
I am the weapon.
Me. Yeah, he's a little theatrical in this.
Yes.
This one,
and I liked it. I appreciated it. Thank you, Xaden.
I did not. It kind of made me go, okay.
Yeah.
I do think it was hilarious that sitting there, Riddick, when he was like wiping the floor with that third year, he was like, Riddick was done. He's like, I don't know whether to be terrified or in love with Xaden, with your boyfriend. And Kat goes, both. You can be both.
You can be both.
I was like,
so everybody was just like, oh, that's so hot.
Holy shit.
This is so hot.
He did also tell that third year, he's like, I have like 10 different daggers strapped to me. You didn't think to heat up the metal on my body?
Yeah.
This is what this class is for. Use
your brain. And now everybody's like, damn it, now I have to take out all my knives. Violet actually, like, they start talking while everybody's fighting and they're like, isn't he scary? Are you sure you're not scared of him? Kat was like, he wasn't powerful like that when I was with him.
Yeah.
And she looks over at Violet and is like, you've never been scared of him? She's like, no, I know he would never hurt me. There were so many times he could. I've known for a fact since the threshing, because logically he couldn't, or else he could be endangering himself. But she's like, even when he could and had reason to, he didn't.
Yeah. And she's like, I'm scared for him.
Yeah.
But I haven't been scared of him since before the threshing. This is all when they're in Shanchara.
Yes.
Which I don't feel like Violet's ever gotten to go before. Is
No.
this the first time she's ever gone?
Pretty much. Oh, and they get Sawyer there. So basically, Riddick, it starts out, they're in like this bar, basically. Sawyer's finally there.
He's trying out a wooden leg.
Yes.
Right? Which we haven't seen yet.
Which, okay, why wooden? He's a metallurgist.
This is a whole
Use
episode,
your brain,
I
people.
feel like. I didn't even think of that when I was reading it, and I'm kind of ashamed of myself.
I was like, well, okay, maybe at least the joints are, so that way you can control the movement. But it's like,
people could grow a viney leg that has some sort of, Okay. Anyways.
But anyway, Riddick is actually like talking through all of the different fights and basically Xaden kicking everyone's ass in the funniest Riddick way. And Sawyer's finally laughing and having a good time.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then the only other thing, Ree talks about how much her mom loves Marin's brothers there, and her dad is like glad there's boys around because she's got pretty much all sisters. So just catching up in Shanchara. Dane is also there, and she said he's trying to like mac on some healer up at the bar.
Of course.
But he finds her later, and what I found really interesting at this point is that like he comes over to their table, and no one's like put off by him. It's like he's actually kind of part of the crew.
I mean, he's on the outer circle, but he's still invited to the party.
He is very much. But he said he pulls Violet aside, and he's been playing with the security in his dad's quarters. He's like, bad news. there's no way I can get you in there. Which means she's like, you're not going to help me. He's like, I said I fucking would.
Yep.
It just means you're going to have to trust me to get the research and bring it out myself. And she...
So do you trust me?
Well, basically for a split second, she's like, oh, I don't know. I'm trusting Dane. But she basically says it's more you handing me something. He's like, I've got that figured out. He was annoyed that she was even going there with it, in all honesty. Do you trust me or do you not? Right away, she tells him exactly where it is. She trusts him. He's like, you'll have it by Monday morning. And she does kind of make okay, the faith of everything here and my dad's research is in Dane Atos's hands.
Yeah, and
Malik,
he is on the outs with his dad right now.
Yeah.
So this would be a really good in for him.
She does bring that up, that he could just hand it over and get his dad's graces back.
Yeah. So it's like,
I don't think
she's true.
I
agree. I think
right
Dane,
away. I didn't doubt him, in all honesty.
Well, and just the fact Xaden can read intentions. And if Xaden...
He would have drawn the alarm.
Yeah.
Well, but Dane's probably blocking.
He's not as powerful as Xaden. Xaden can get in any shield.
Here later. I think Dane's got a lot of power, actually. Get off Dane, okay?
No, I'm okay with Dane. I'm just saying this was a risk to the mission. I appreciate the risk, and I'm glad that he's back in the graces enough to be given the risk, and this will prove a lot.
We'll see what happens. So the next day, or that Monday, basically, Sloane grabs Violet, and keep in mind, she hasn't been able to even look at her, let alone talk to her.
This is like sentence 2.
I think we've heard she's refusing to train her signet at this point, too. She's not doing well with it. So she grabs Violet. Violet says she has to give her something. She can't look at her. Violet kind of says something about it, too. She's like, you can look at me. Sloane admits to her that she could have rejected the power and stopped it, but she wanted the wards up and she wanted to live.
Yeah.
And she feels guilty saying it. And Violet's response is, that's a valid emotion.
Yeah.
Like,
duh.
That's okay to want to save everyone. You're valid in that. She apologizes to her, and she wants to make sure Violet knows it wasn't out of revenge. It wasn't because your mom executed my parents. And Violet was basically like, I fucking already know. Agreed. But she was not. She was kind of like, okay. Yeah, just kind of let her do it.
Your feelings are heard.
Yeah.
They are valid, but in the moment I was okay with it.
So she, yes. So Sloane hands her 2 tombs. One is from Jasenia, and the other one is from leadership.
Oh.
Dane did it.
Dane
and he did have a really good solution.
He's part of the rebel squad.
Well, what I put down here is this is a major turning point in the trust.
Yeah.
This isn't a spoiler. We don't see Violet question Dane ever again after this in the book. It's very obvious what side he's on. She looks at, it's a folder with a 6-letter lock on it. And she's like, there's a rune on there that she could tell if she messes up the 6-letter code, it's going to bleed these vials of ink, ruin all the research. And there's a rune in the middle that looks a lot like if you fuck with this.
With magic.
Evil magic will
It'll
happen.
destroy the book.
Destroy the book or even something else. I was getting the feeling that
it could be a bomb.
Maybe. I don't fucking know.
That's true. You don't mess with magic, man.
This note will detonate.
Okay, Inspector Gadget.
It's a good show, man. There was a little note with the folder. First love is irreplaceable. First love is irreplaceable. 6 letters.
Well, so General Lilith.
Well, it pans to everyone hanging out, and Riddick's like, it's obviously Lilith, right? Which that's the first thing I said, Lilith, and then I was like, too obvious. And everyone's kind of like, yeah, no, there's no way. That's way too obvious, bud. They start to kind of go through like who were Brennan's loves, which they breeze over very quickly.
Yes.
Because Brennan was older. She didn't really know. No one talked about anything. To me, this just confirmed a lot of other theories I hear online.
That he's gay?
Well, that him and Naolan, like there's some previous story there where Naolan maybe turned venin to save Brennan because they were in love. And Brennan talks about Naolan a lot like Tarn does.
Yeah.
Like hurt.
Yeah.
No, but I think it does mean like there was
something
betrayal,
there.
But it was for the right reasons. Like, I think there's a similarity in his story.
He
that we don't know yet.
sacrificed himself,
Yeah.
but he accidentally, by doing that, became venin instead
Right.
of just burning out and dying.
Which also would mean why Brennan has such a close connection to, like, Xaden and what's going on with him through this book.
Ooh, that's also why Brennan might be more apt to be okay with Xaden being venin.
Yeah. Well, I think we're going to see more of that soon, too. So they're going through, they talk about Mira's loves, and she's like, I don't know if she's ever really loved anybody, you know?
She loves Tiny.
But then they go, all right, what about yours? He
Xaden.
left it to you.
Yeah.
Well, it wouldn't have, Xaden is not 6 letters.
Xaden is 5.
5 letters. But he also wouldn't have known him.
It wasn't Dane.
And then it was like, Arik turns around and he goes, how many letters again? And Violet's like, shut the fuck up. And he's
Nobody's
like,
talking to you, Arik.
He's like, it fits. It fits. So
Arik, shut the fuck up.
Arik obviously knows something. Panning to sparring, right? The teams are sparring. Violet and Xaden mind flirting. I'm going to call it mexting because they are hardcore mind sexting each other, and it's heating up. They're getting hornier and hornier.
Well, can I just say, this is why this love interest was written by a woman.
Yeah.
Because the amount of understanding a man would have if he was actually able to communicate mind to mind with us.
Yeah.
Like that's the girl dream.
Yeah.
Is that you literally can read my mind so I don't have to babysit your ass through every step.
Oh.
This is the dream.
I didn't actually even think
and
of
then
it that way.
being mature enough to not be like intimidated by that.
Right?
And turned on by that.
Jesus Christ. You're explaining all men until they're like 40.
So men, listen to this. You don't have to read our mind, but it's so sexy when you do that we read fantasy books about it.
It's actually pretty simple. Just listen.
Listen to us to talk.
Like, if I say not there, a little to the right, it's pretty fucking easy. Go a little to the right. Okay?
My right or your right, Nicole?
Try. I'll tell you. Just fucking listen. It's super, super simple. Anyways, this particular time, they are flirting so much back and forth. Like, Xaden's like, oh, I'd like to see that the way I want you in my bed. Da 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 da. So much that Violet's like, bet, I'll play. And she's like when I swirl my tongue. And he's like,
oh, gosh.
in the middle of his presentation, which I thought it was hilarious.
This is all happening while he is actively teaching class.
Correct. Making him cough in the middle of it. Also, we see a lot more of Garrick and Imogen. They're constant, like, fake I hate you. And even Riddick at this point goes, oh, gods, just stop flirting and fuck already. Did I say that out loud?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Inside voices.
You did.
Keep them in your head.
So it shows us also that we're picking up on the right things. Like Garrick and Imogen are Imogen was giving Garrick shit for having some chick in his room. And he's like, oh, sounds like you're jealous.
Ooh.
And she's like, why would I be jealous of a fire? Obviously you are, Imogen. So Garrick is there guest spotting in Xaden's class because he's an air wielder. So he's going to play test dummy for their signet sparring. Garrick's up there wiping the floor with everybody who comes up. They're sitting there and Ree's like, our whole squad goes up.
Yeah.
They never said anything about only one person going up. We're all going to go up at the same time. Then Garrick tries to go, whoa, 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 this isn't fair. And it's like, we're never by ourselves out when training. And that's what this is about. And Xaden kind of does the, I'll allow it.
She's got you there.
Yeah, they're doing a good job. They're all yinging and yanging off of each other. It gets to the point that Riddick has ice up there, and Garrick pushes that away with the wind, and it sends like sparks or like sheaths of the ice.
Yeah.
Kind of towards Violet.
But doesn't hit her.
Does not hit her.
She's fine.
It is in her general direction, and Xaden fucking loses it, basically. Yeah. Looks at Garrick like he's gonna kill him. Yes. This is his best friend. And Violet kind of like breaks into his mind. And I think this is when it starts where she tells him to get off the ice.
Yeah.
Like, get off the ice. I'm fine. All of that. In this, Violet then strikes lightning behind Garrick. And Garrick's like, missed. And she's like, did I?
Did I?
She hid his blade behind him and like melted it. She's like, if I wanted to kill you, I could have.
But I didn't.
But this is training.
And frankly, I could have done it faster.
So I win. I could have done it faster.
I just wanted to make you squirm.
Right. And then we just hear,
and who is that clapping?
oh, Prince Halden of the blah, 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 blah.
Oh, boy. And you just hear everybody's like heart sink. Well, you hear Violet's heart sink like,
I think she says, oh, fuck.
Yeah. But then also, I love that her immediate thing is like, oh, shit. Arik is in the audience, and we know Arik doesn't want to be found or known. And so immediately she's like telling Xaden, like, cover Arik with your shadows and get him the F out of here.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, she's actually drawing Halden's attention to her and engaging him in conversation so like he doesn't look around.
Right.
So, and he is like flirting with her in every way, like she's shutting him down and being very like curt with his advances.
Well, at this point, we don't even really know that their history.
No,
but like, we do know there's something obvious there. They know each other. It is very obvious they know each other well.
And it's very obvious he pissed her off.
Oh, for sure.
Even in that interaction, he was like, come on, I was mourning the death of my twin. And so now you know the death of the twin. This means that's the person that Xaden killed.
Yeah.
So that was the twin of Halden.
And Violet goes, something tells me Halden won't be as understanding as Arik was.
Okay, so let's look at this love triangle here, okay?
Let's break this down.
So first love of Violet is Halden, first in line for the throne. So when his father passes...
He's king.
He's king, okay?
She's dating him.
She broke up with him because he was a jerk. Her forever...
Wait a minute.
We don't know what happened yet. We'll find out. Okay. Her forever current lover, who is the most powerful being on Earth.
I don't know about that. It's very powerful.
Very powerful.
The second they always say our generation.
Our generation's most power or second most powerful because I think Violet's more powerful. Whatever.
Everyone does. Yeah.
So her current lover killed her ex-lover's twin brother.
Right.
And they don't know that connection about each other.
And they are currently harboring his little brother, who also kind of wants to kill Xaden, but kind of doesn't.
Yeah. They're harboring his little brother, his only other living relative.
Yeah.
Who they cannot find, which actually Violet's like, he said he can't find his brother, but he acts like he doesn't care at all.
No, yeah.
We could not find him. Don't you feel sorry for me? No. He's just such a cocky dude. But anyway,
arrogant.
Yeah. He actually like hands over a letter and he's like, I can solve your problems if you want to travel south for your mission. And hands over this note and she reads the note and it's from Takaris. So the king of Cortland, who is from Deverelli, which is one of the islands that they would have to kind of travel to, he will meet with us he'll meet with somebody royal as long as we bring him this artifact. The queen who owns the artifact already likes you because you saved all her flyers and they're part of the war and everything. So she said, you can have the artifact he wants. You just have to go get it. And it is at this occupied area, venin occupied region called Anka.
Yeah, beyond the wards.
Beyond the wards.
Right.
So, okay. Bad thing is Halden would have to go because we would need a royal presence. But we have our reason to go south and we have our way to maybe have a jumping off point for everything. So all of a sudden Halden like goes and this whole time while she's finding this out and they're bickering back and forth like he wants her and she's shutting him down. He actually goes to reach over to like put her hair behind her ear or something and he almost touches her and all of a sudden boom, this black like shadow like punches him and like knocks the wind out of him against the wall behind him.
Right. Well, he's asking her about Ryerson when that happens and Xaden's over there like mean mugging.
He's like,
And she's like, if you're asking if I love him, yes. If you're prodding to see if we're together, we're adhering to the codex.
Yeah.
And he's like, I was asking for myself.
Yes.
I'm sorry for what I did to you. And we found out earlier when they were bitching back and forth to each other. Remember, she said, when he said, my heart was broken, my twin,
Yeah.
I was mourning the death of my brother. She's like, you'd have to have a heart to break it. And the only hair I remember is your professors in your face when she was writing you. It was Auburn, right?
Oh.
So we know he cheated on her. And
With a
that's
professor.
with his professor.
Ironically, again, in this love triangle, she is lusting after her professor.
Interesting. Interesting to say. So, and then he reached when he was like, I'm sorry for that.
Yeah.
We should go to dinner.
Yeah.
And he
if
like
you
reached.
think your person would be okay with that, it would let you go. It's like,
Yeah.
nobody lets me
Well,
go
and
anywhere.
then she also said, when she was like, no, I love him. He's like, anyone who's ever dated a writer knows their first priority is their dragon. And she
Yeah.
was like, ooh, hold it.
Yeah.
You're right.
You are
First
right.
priority is their dragon.
And he's
And
like-
then that's when he asked her to dinner and lifts to put his hand in the hair, and like the shadows are like, boom, bitch. But I do like how Xaden was like, oh, sorry, man.
Oh,
I was
right.
blocking this thing, and
This is awkward.
Looks like it knocked the wind out of you, buddy.
My bad. This darn
You
aim
okay?
wasn't working.
Here, let me help you up. FYI, I have remarkable hearing. 1, 2, I don't control Violet. 3, she really hasn't thought about you at all. FYI.
Yeah, that sucks.
She's thought of me.
Ever
Again,
since
A little cheesy.
she
little
hasn't
dramatic.
thought of you since you left.
Yeah.
Or since she put eyes on me.
There were,
But it's true because he can read intentions, and literally this is the first time he's hearing about this prince.
The the venin in Xaden. There's all these memes about people being like, me joining Xaden on his villain era and all of this, like I'm with him. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Venin Xaden is theatrical and dramatic.
This is when he
And
moves.
he's really annoying.
See, okay, my earlier reference that Ven in our interview with a vampire now doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
You just needed to catch up with me and
He's
Rebecca.
getting sleazy. Like
It's not
but
sleazy.
it's like
He's getting old country. Like
It's not hot anymore. I got the ick now. It was hot. Remember we talked about that?
Oh
It's not now.
gosh. You're like Tarn.
He's too dramatic. I can't.
Taryn doesn't like him since he turned either. He gets it.
I mean, whatever. Okay. Then we pan to Vi and Ree sitting in a room together. Violet's gonna try Aimsir, which is her mom's dragon's name. 6 letters. Aimsir.
So it wasn't Halden.
No.
Just talking about the first love of his love,
Yes.
her dragon.
Correct. Ree is there to retrieve as much liquid as possible if they're wrong.
Yep.
To maybe try and save some of it. But they're not wrong. It unclicks. We're good. The very first page is a letter to Violet from her dad. So this is all purposeful, right? He tells her you need to go to Corden, seek Narrowly Anselm. She's a vendor, street vendor there. She struggled with, he even knocks her a little bit. He's like, you always struggle with Crovish, which is why I taught Dane. So make sure you take Dane with you.
Yep.
Only trust Mira.
Yep. Nobody else.
Don't trust anybody else, which is interesting.
Yeah. The funny thing is the whole time that they're like talking about opening the book, like, oh gosh, like, are we going to do this? They're girl talking. And she's like, okay, seriously, a prince and then a duke? You really do have a type.
So do you want to talk about how your current boyfriend assaulted your former boyfriend who happens to be a prince?
Yep.
First in line for the crown?
Thank you, Ree, for finally calling out this love triangle that nobody's talking about, how
Ree's
crazy
got
it is.
Best friends got it.
And Arik knew this love triangle the whole time.
Which, isn't Arik totally like a third brother?
Yes.
Like,
But not of Halden, of Xaden. I feel like Arik folds really well.
breeze over his hatred for Xaden pretty fucking quick.
Yeah, because Xaden took care of them.
True.
Saved all of Bezgaia.
There was never a real conversation about it, though.
No.
Ark's too arrogant to actually admit Xaden was right. Uh-oh.
Well, and I think he implicitly trusts Violet, too.
Yeah, definitely. Panning to Xaden and Violet's discussion about this. Xaden is quite obviously jealous.
Of course.
And he's not really trying to hide it, in all honesty. But he keeps asking, again, he's very theatrical and a little desperate in this book, which I understand. I'm here for you, Xaden. I'm just it's a little annoying.
This is when I really like Xaden.
Really?
Like, this is
So
I would die
needy.
for you.
Yeah. This is why your husband is actually needier than my husband does not need me at all. And this is probably why I'm with him, because if he was, I'm always complaining, like, you could, like, need me more. And then when he does, I'm kind of like, you're so fucking annoying and needy.
Me and my husband have always been codependent.
Yeah.
Like,
no.
we wouldn't go out and we would just sit next to each other playing our own video games on our own devices, but just on the couch next to each other.
Marissa, you just told me how it would help if you sat next to him while he gamed. So you're in, because being in the attached room doesn't count.
It's not close enough.
Oh my God.
Okay, go on.
Anyways, he keeps asking her, "Did you love him?" She's like, "Why does it fucking matter? I was a kid."
Yeah,
like
love doesn't count when you're
that's
15.
also what I was thinking. I'm like, this is like high school.
Yeah.
I don't know. Love is different. She was telling him that, and he just kept saying, Did you love him?" And she's like,
I thought I
yes.
did. But
yes.
I didn't
Did
know
I love
what love
him? Yes.
was.
She said, "Why are you jealous about this?" And he said, "Yes, love. I'm jealous." I've noticed he refers to her as love all the time now.
Mm-hmm.
He has not called her Violence once yet in this book. And I don't even know if he says her name a ton. He calls her Love all the time. Yeah. I just found that, like, oh, again, dramatized. He did have a really good line, though. He's like, "When the prince of the realm walks into my classroom and starts talking to the woman I love with what can only be considered intense familiarity, and then has the audacity to ask her out, I'm going to hit him in the chest with a bunch of fucking shadows."
I don't want to say he's asking for it, but he was asking for it.
I mean, Violet also comes right in with her savior complex. "He can't touch me. I will only ever be yours. You can't leave me or even meet Malik. And that's how it'll always be.
Mm-hmm.
I've made peace with knowing there's no getting over you." They're both very dramatic. And then there is another great kiss. Kiss,
yes.
Kiss, kiss. I love you, I love you, I love you. I die for you, I live for you. And Xaden's like, "Stop. I can't.
I won't.
I have to stay away.
I don't want to endanger your virginity."
Okay, say something distracted, sweetheart. And she goes, "My dad left me a letter and wants me to go to Devlorai." Oh, okay. I'm listening. What's going on?
Oh, okay.
Tell me more.
Great. That's like baseball.
Tell me more. She's like, "We have to get an artifact. It's in occupied territory, and it's outside of the wards." And Xaden goes, "Whose car are we taking?" He basically says, when we going. So they're going.
Now the quest squad has a plan and a way to circumvent everything and do what needs to happen.
To go to the first
Yes.
aisle, basically.
So Professor Grady and his 40-year-old men's squad.
I don't like that reference because that's actually
he does
younger
say
than me.
that two of them are 40-year-old men.
Does he say 40? I think you said 40.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Roll the tape.
Okay. And so they are going to get the artifact. And so they're flying. This is past the ward. So one, this is, you're not able to wield. You have to use your physical prowess.
Yeah.
Two, this is where Xaden will have the most trouble.
Yes. Mira is also with them now.
Yes.
Yeah.
So at least smartly, we have somebody that can do shields.
Correct.
Okay, so they feel the
normal
power
one.
change, and Darna is actually in Violet's head and is like complaining that we're making her stay behind. But
Right.
Theophany is like actively hunting Andarna. So it does make sense. And they even are like, okay, we can only be away from the bond for so long. So we have to like be quick with this
12
or else it's
hours.
going to start being painful for Andarna.
Well, you die after 3 to 4 days.
Yes.
So they said, Tarn told her she has about 12 hours until she starts feeling pain.
So we got to be quick.
Yeah.
So they're flying along. They look at the city, and even though it's an occupied territory, it looks completely abandoned. It doesn't look like anything's there. So the dragons each one by one start landing into this big like town square area, but they can't stay there. They have to actually patrol. So the two old guys, I swear maybe older than 40.
They can't stay because the town has very narrow pathways. Dragons can't even get through.
Yeah, they can't come with them anyway.
Yeah.
But also overarching, the venin will feel any use of power. So you want the least amount of power used in general.
Which is interesting. I wonder how they tested. Well, it's probably like all the lieutenants like Mira, actually, that I'm saying that. But they said they noticed if you try and wield on desiccated land, it actually draws them in. I feel like there's more to that. Like, that's insane. Like,
that is insane.
How can they sense that?
Who knows?
These are those things that are said that are just breezed over in the book. And I was like,
wait a second.
I feel like that's important.
So this is very much like why I love reading fantasy, because any pocket could mean something.
Anything's important.
Anything.
And anything's not. Like, I'm so stuck on that pool of starlight in the spring court, and it could mean nothing.
Could mean nothing.
It probably is nothing.
It could mean
but I'm like,
everything.
It could also
could be a portal to a different land.
That's what I think. And I'm going to be really fucking disappointed when it means nothing.
And apologies for anybody that doesn't know what we're talking about, but go back and listen to Akatar.
I know. And
if you know, you know. If you don't know, trust us. You need to find out.
Speaking of things that probably mean nothing but made me stop.
Yep.
Right before you move on. Sorry. And Violet said this time she felt like there was almost more power out there. And Tarn's like, actually, it's desiccated land. There's less power.
Yeah.
And Andarna says, I can feel it too.
Ooh.
And I think, but she was doing her bratty teenage thing. And when she went into complaining about not getting to go with them.
Yeah.
So you can easily brush it off. But I do think there's a lot of things Andarna says like that get brushed off because she's an adolescent.
Yeah.
That are actually going to mean something.
Yeah.
And the fact that.
Listen to Greta Thunberg.
Violet. Yeah. Greta.
Greta knows what she's talking about.
Just let her save the fucking world.
Just let her save the world, man. Because we don't have the energy anymore.
I know.
We need your help.
Right.
Okay.
Sorry, I lost your train of thought.
No, you're good. So they are all landing, and the two old guys are running perimeter, and they're supposed to be over the city watching to make sure everything's safe. And we don't know Venin could be hiding out, and Theophany just somehow always knows where they are. So that's scary. So they're walking around, and basically they find, like, Grady's like got this map, and the whole time Ree is like testing Grady's like strategic capabilities and calling him out. Oh yeah. Who did I say?
Ree. Oh. She would do it too.
She would do it too. Yeah. So I was picturing Mira in my head. Funny enough. But she's
very
just
similar in Violet's life. In all honesty.
She's just like basically being like, Grady, like, here we are stumbling around. Why couldn't you have brought the people that actually drew this map for you? Because they know exactly where to go.
Her handwriting's like shit. And she's like, maybe you should have fucking brought the flyers.
Exactly. She knows not only where to go in the city, but where it's housed in the building we have to search for it for. Idiot. And so finally Grady stumbles upon, because I just think, like, the more I listen to him, the more I think he just isn't very intelligent.
Yeah.
He doesn't know what he's doing. He's in way over his head. But they find the building, and she even makes a retort of like, oh, like, you just looked at the nameplate of the building. Like, great idea. And so they go in.
To read.
And basically the two cadets, so Aura and Violet, stay outside, and they're on lookout. And then everybody else goes into the dangerous 4-story building to try to find it. And all Kat remembers, like, without being there, is it's on an upper floor and it's under a glass case.
Right.
So like that's the direction. So all the adults who are not on patrol outside or the 2 cadets there are inside looking. And the whole time they're Violet and Xaden are mind to mind. And she's just like, have you found it yet? Like, how are we doing? And Aura is like a mess.
She's on tilt.
She is. And mind you, she is a year older and a wing leader.
Right.
So she's like giving Violet random commands that are totally against the strategy.
We did already see her weakness when she was like adamantly taking out a first-year flyer when he had no magic.
Oh, big man.
Big woman.
So she's like
she's embarrassed because Violet called her out. They hear like a little click, 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 click. Here, let's do sound effects. Click, 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 click. And she like brings fire, starts to take off her gloves and brings fire up.
No, the first rule of this whole mission was magic will draw the venin.
Right.
Put your flames down. And I think it's also very interesting that Aura is like mansplaining what the strategy should be when it's like, Violet's like, this is like my 8th mission. You've done none of the missions.
Dude. Violet tells
I've
her.
I've actually led more missions than you've been on.
She's like, put that away. Put your gloves on. Remind yourself that fucking venin are here. And she's like, I'm scared. And she's like, that's an unhealthy mission, dangerous amount of fear, right?
Yes.
Remind yourself. And that's when she got her nose pushed in and was like, you bring your lightning up. What use are you if it's not at your fingertips?
She was going to start a fight. She's an idiot. So finally Mira is like, oh, found it. And so everyone's like, yay, we found it. And so Aura is still like on tilt in the middle of this argument. And all of a sudden a door opens and she turns and she fires it. And it's freaking Grady. She
caught
just
Grady on fire.
Caught Grady on fire.
Yeah.
And so Xaden's coming down. Everybody's coming out. It's like, what did these stupid students do?
Yeah.
This is why we don't bring kids with us.
Well, and not to mention, did she just kill the leader, catch him on fire? But it's a desiccated town, so it's like tinder.
Yes.
So meanwhile, the building is catching on fire. The other buildings are catching on fire next to it. Xaden's trying to put it out with the shadows, but it's like spreading because it's like kindling.
Exactly. And he's like, I got it. And she literally thinks in her head, like Violet thinks, if this wasn't desecrated land, he would be so tempted to just use, like, because he's using too much power.
Yeah.
Like, if it wasn't desiccated, he would draw.
Low.
Yeah. And she's like, okay, abandon hope. Let's go. And so they have to run to a place where the dragons can actually land.
Yeah.
And so they're like running, and Mira is actually like, Violet first. And Tiny's the one that's closest. And Violet's like, no. Yeah. Like, Tiny comes and goes. She's like, I'm not leaving you. And she's like, you're holding us up. Like,
well, it's also a running mount, which, remember, I don't know if Violet has ever actually been able to do.
Yeah, she's not good at that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then then Mira does it with perfect
And
flawlessness.
she looks absolutely gorgeous doing
without
it.
Without even like breaking her stride.
And so then Aura goes and she's like running, and Taryn in Violet's mind said, we're not alone. And so she like yells to one of the only adults that actually survived so far and says, no, we need to wait with Aura. We're not alone. Taryn just told me we're not alone. And the leader was just like, oh, she'll be fine. She'll make it. And so Aura has no idea what she's running into. And she goes, and all of a sudden, like, a wyvern actually like uses his scorpion tail to like pierce her through her body.
I think it was his
claw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it skewers her.
It skewers her. So she is skewered. She gone. So we're gone with Grady, the leader.
Not to talk ill of the dead.
Yeah.
But you were a liability. You're a problem, Aura.
She's the reason why the wyvern are here.
Problem.
She's the reason why.
She is.
But during this interaction, we actually see Seagull, and she is just vicious. And she goes and she grabs that wyvern and she just starts tearing it apart and like fighting the wyvern as they're going.
Yeah.
Right as now Taryn is coming down. So she's like, Xaden, you're coming with me. She grabs him and they go running. Taryn is not down. He's like,
I'm not a horse.
You can't make me. And she's like, they travel in pairs. This is your mate's rider. We need to get him to her or get him home safe.
Let's keep it real. Xaden was able to use a shadow so that she could do the running mount.
Exactly.
And belt her in. So.
Exactly. So we needed Xaden as like a secondary harness for her. They fly away.
They land. And
Yes.
one of the lieutenants is like, I can't believe you let him die. And Xaden like puts his elbow up on his neck and he's like, are you fucking kidding me out there?
Yeah.
Where
You
the
don't
hell
know.
were you?
You were supposed to be
running
on patrol.
Yeah.
You should have let us
You
know
40-year-old
well before.
bitch.
You idiot.
You old bastard.
Yeah. So we lost 2 dragon riders. So 2 riders and 2 dragons in this because Grady's dragon and Aura's dragon.
Oh, yeah, duh, Grady.
Yeah.
I was like, who else? Oh.
Yeah. And it's all because that stupid adult said, go, Aura. And because Grady even invited Aura, frankly.
Right. Mira
says, I'm glad I found this.
I'm glad I got there first.
Yes. And it's a necklace, which is the citrine or whatever that they are going to award. But there's a letter with that necklace.
Well, first, what's the citrine look like?
It looks like it's broken a little bit.
It looks...
Don't look at it directly. It was like that when I found it.
It's cracked,
fine.
hazy, and a smoky hue. It's been drained.
It's not doing good.
Yeah.
Yes.
And there's a note. Notes are always good. What's the note say?
The note says, I found it first, bitch.
Checkmate.
Yes. So she knew they were there.
Yeah. It's from Theophany.
Yes.
But she just signs T because they're like best friends.
I mean, don't you want your tea?
She knew they were there. She basically said, I can take you whenever the fuck I want.
Yeah.
Just keep that in mind.
Another very great recruiting technique. And she doesn't say I was there first. She actually was like, why do you hide from the answers I can give you? Or something poetic like that. I didn't write it down exactly.
I mean,
but
I heard
I
gotcha, bitch.
Gotcha, bitch. I got the answers. Just come over here and I'll spill the tea.
You know what else is funny? The citrine is drained. She got there first. We never talk about the fact that it's drained again.
No, nothing to say.
I mean, spoiler,
cool.
we're going to talk about
It's
using the
cool.
citrine in a minute, but
no big deal.
It's okay.
It's cool. Okay, so now they're going to have to do the second part of this mission, which is actually to go to Devarelli.
First, we need to do a little more recruiting. We lost a lot of Quest Squad.
So, of course, she is thinking they're going to replace Grady and give us more 40-year-old men that just stand there and mansplain.
Yeah.
And so they go to the scenarium and she's got a plan. And while they're waiting outside in front of her, she says she sees Kat and she thought in her head that she would see Marin too. But it is a tall, handsome man that actually has some very similar characteristics. So some sort of relative.
Yeah.
Of her.
She thought it would be Marin or Traeger.
Yeah.
But it was some new guy.
But it was somebody else.
Yeah. Also, before we move on here, Sawyer's back in class.
Yeah, Sawyer's
back in class now. Violet's been doing a lot of research, and in the research, we're really summarizing this before we get to the big decision. She's reading a lot how it's important to go into battle with people that you trust.
Yeah.
That's the general basis of things.
Yeah. The new Quest Squad, they're all just waiting to be let into the scenarium, and they're expecting pushback. We've got Xaden is probably in there, and we're just waiting, right? And Riddick is just sitting there, and he's like, I need to be on Quest Squad. And he's sporadically been making these jokes and references, and he basically lays it out, and he's like, the bad things happen when we're not together.
Bad things.
When you go out and do your stupid stuff, bad things happen. But when we're together, they don't. So stop doing this bullshit where you just go off.
Yeah.
And she's like,
one of us has to be there.
Yeah.
Ree's a leader.
Yeah. She can't leave.
Sawyer's still healing.
But I'm here. Even though I'm a jokester, I got skills.
She's like, I got my own back. And he's like, I'm not saying that you can't do it. I'm just saying, look at all the scenarios.
Yeah.
Someone was there here and here and here. But what happened when no one was there? You got kidnapped and tortured for 4 days.
Yeah.
And you almost got fucking skewered.
And while he was doing this, he actually had an orange because I think he thought Jack would be around and he was eating an orange. But he actually freezes the juice from inside the orange. And she actually looks at that and was like, wait a second. You're able to freeze the juice? And he's like, yeah, again, been reading. I've been training. While you've been off doing your mission stuff, I've been practicing or reading.
Yeah.
And now I can do this. And she's like, does that hypothetically mean you could freeze people's blood and like freeze
The water
their veins
in people's bodies.
Yeah. And he's like, well, yeah, technically. And she's like, okay, you're coming with us.
Yeah.
And she does say it's not because he can do that, but because he's right.
He does snap a little bit on the whole crew. He's like,
Yeah.
it pisses me off that you guys act like my sense of humor somehow lessens my abilities to show up for all of you, like
Yeah.
for this squad. And when he said it, I was like, oh,
Yeah.
they actually are right. We also learned that not many ice wielders can pull water out of the air.
Yeah. They have to have like
So
a
the
water
fact that-
bottle.
Yeah. The fact that he
create
can even do that is a big deal.
Yeah.
And she was like, can anybody else do this? Like for
And
the
he's like,
freezing? He's like,
I don't know.
I don't think so.
Yeah. So they finally get called in. So it's like the 6 most powerful people plus now the prince. Halden is like running things.
Right. He's there.
Atos is his sniveling self in the background, just being like fake in power because he doesn't have any.
there.
Markham's there. And so basically they lay out, okay, great job. You guys succeeded. And now we've got to do the second leg of this quest. Here is your new captain, Captain Henson. He's going to be taking over. He's really great with like a sword and stuff sometimes. And she's like, no, we failed because we lost 2 dragons and 2
Yeah.
riders.
Guess what?
Get
Guess
what? Excuse me?
Guess why? Captain Henson
Yeah.
is Jarrett that Xaden beat his ass
Yeah.
at Samara to get leave.
Yeah.
Making just making connections for
Yeah.
y'all.
The guy that we said you should just lay down and let Xaden take 1 day of your leave for free because you got your ass kicked so hard. He's the one now leading Xaden into this fight.
Right.
Okay, good luck. And she's just like, no. And she's like, that's not going to happen. And then the Duchess behind.
Oh, wait, hold on. You forgot. They also want Markham and Melgreen to be able to search Orisha.
Yeah. No.
During that. Like, they're like, we'll let you go to Devilry. We're going to negotiate an alliance with the king, secure that foothold, search for Andar and his kind, report back. While you're doing that, we're going to search Orisha. The fuck you are?
Yeah. She's like, first of all, Markham, you don't even have a voice here. Yeah. You are trying to find out 6 years of missing information when you hid centuries from the people. She has no respect for this man.
You just HR presented that.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Violet was like, you don't fucking get to talk. Marissa went, we do not appreciate your opinion in this matter.
I mean, well, it's true. And it is more eloquently stated. No, I'm just kidding.
You said it with more emotional
but
maturity.
The Duchess
Violet
is
was
like,
I'll fucking cut your tongue out.
Yeah. The Duchess is like, I'm sorry. You can't talk to somebody like that.
Yeah.
And then I count 2 people too many. There's like people here that are not invited. And she's like, they are here at my request. This is nothing to do with the fact that everybody in here is the most like
shut your mouth, ho.
The most powerful 1%ers.
Right. The 1%ers. You got 2 people fucking killed. We're going to Devilry with people I choose.
Your incompetence isn't appreciated.
Well, Halden is amused by her strength. So he kind of shuts everybody up. And is like, who do you choose then?
Yeah. Who would be your squad? And she's like, okay, Xaden. Because he's the best man around. And my dragon's bonded to his dragon. And I'm kind of effing him on the side, but nobody can know. Okay. Mira, because she has shields and it's stupid not to. Right. And also she's my sister. Riddick, as my personal guard, is what she said.
Because he's so funny.
Because he's the entertainment.
Yeah.
We've got Kat, who speaks for the Paromish people. Drake, who she needs to have at least one person there that she can trust.
She deserves
it.
I liked that.
Dane, because he can speak Crovish. Mm-hmm. And Halden, because he speaks for Navarre.
Yeah.
That's the team. Right. Take it or leave it.
Yep. And whatever guard you bring with you in case you stub your toe.
You poor little baby.
Atos is like, no, but you can't. And Halden's like, shh. I just
the
saw
adults
him, like,
are speaking.
Hold his hand up.
I'm looking at this gorgeous lady.
that, and the queen perked up again at her when she said Kat deserves to have someone she trusts in battle with her.
Absolutely. And then Xaden comes into the conversation. Xaden doesn't, like, at first he's like, well, let's talk about, and Xaden just walks up and is like, I don't answer to you. I answer to her. When do you want to leave, Violet?
Oh, yeah, I forgot about
And she's like, as soon as the prince can get his shit together and get ready to go. And so Xaden's like, okay, we leave it at the first light or whatever.
I forgot. Oh, they strong-armed him into it.
Yeah, and it worked.
So they're walking outside, out of the room, and Mira's like, are you Drake so-and-so? And he's like, yeah. Cordella? He's like, yeah. You've heard of me, huh?
Oh, okay.
And she's like, are you the one who was pivotal in removing the wards from Samara and blah, blah, blah? And he's like, I was.
You've heard of me.
You know my work. She fucking kicks him in the balls.
It's like, if you ever put my sister in danger ever again, I'll cut him off.
And he's like, okay, got it.
Noted. Oh, and by the way, you're Mira Sorengale.
Yeah.
He like touted her prowess also.
He did. Whatever that battle is that everyone knows her for from before.
Yeah.
I was trying to remember that. I'm like, why do I think I'm going to remember the name of that battle? I'm not going to remember the
You
name
don't
of the
have
battle.
to do that. Who cares if it was 1987 or 1982?
You're right. They're on their way to Devarelli, and I think it's hilarious that Tarn is like, everyone's falling behind. Like, they went to Athbine and had a rest to like test the riders, and now they're like 24 hours straight riding, right? And the Griffins are slower, but they're talking how the Griffins agreed to carry Halden and his guard,
Because
which is
dragons
a woman.
don't carry people.
Dragons don't carry people in
They're
baskets.
not a carriage.
In baskets. They're in baskets.
Well, and I just picture them just like
Rocking them.
like Toto. And all while they're flying.
The amount of memes that are showing a long-haired prince in a basket is hilarious. Because the way it's described as a basket.
Yes.
A basket.
So dainty.
A hot
They're
air
little
balloon
baskets.
But Tarn's like, I don't even know why we have to frickin' bring them. Like, he's very annoyed that the prince is even there.
Agreed. I feel the
honesty.
same way.
Which is funny because he's usually talking shit about the Griffins being slow. And he's blaming it on the baskets, not the Griffins this time.
Yeah.
So as they land, and Darna like wants to take her harness off, and Tarn and Violet are both like, no. I just thought it was funny that she was pissy back and forth, and Tarn and her were arguing, and they landed and they were waiting to see where they could go hunt and get food, and he's like making her. It was just a total parent, teenage, adolescent.
Oh yeah.
Firing back and forth, and as they walk away, Violet sees them walking away because they're good now.
Yeah.
She like fires fire at Tarn's leg, like whatever.
Let me do what I want,
Those
Dad.
are those little interactions that we breeze over a lot, but that one to me like epitomized like they're piss off. It's a long car ride. I'll turn this car around. Let's go get McDonald's.
The crazy thing is, like, they touted like the reason why they made this trip so quick was because they were testing the Griffin's wings.
Yes.
But really it was, Violet was like, really, we need to keep Xaden off the ground.
Yes.
Like, for as long as possible. He needs to be on the ground the least amount of time possible.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So they land at Takaris. They're going to rest here before they make it the rest of the way to Devilry. Halden. Devarelli. Halden, like, trips out of the basket. I can't remember everything, but it's one of those things, like, you know, when you are all pissed off and you storm out of a room and you're like, your like sweater clings onto the door handle and you're like, motherfucker.
Yes.
That's what I pictured.
Of course.
With Halden.
He actually like ripped part of it.
He ripped something, tripped, and then his guard, who's obviously screwing him, goes running after. Can I help you? He's like, leave me alone. Like, he doesn't help her out of the basket at all. Like a gentleman or anything like that. They land, they see Takaris. He asks a question. I forget what it is, but what I remember is Halden answers for Violet. He's talking to Violet.
Oh, not only that, he has his hand on her back.
Oh,
like,
really?
Leading her into the room. Because Takaris knows her.
Yeah.
And made a deal with her, like a negotiation that she just fulfilled for him. And he's like, no, I'm the prince.
And
Talk
he
to me.
answers for her. And
Yes.
she mentally notes, like, I forgot he always used to do that. And she sees Dane roll his eyes. And I'm like, see, they're best friends. Like that acknowledgement. He remembers.
He remembers how big of a dick he was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Takaris is taking them around and he's like, we have a lot more flyers posted here now before they can go off to Basgiath with you guys. Do you guys mind doubling up rooms?
Yeah.
Not a big deal. King, of course, will give you your own
You get
room.
your own suite.
Ryerson, you also have yours right here, and they're right on that floor. Violet is hurting. She's been flying for 24 hours straight. So she's like, there's no way I can make it up 2 more flights of stairs.
I'm exhausted.
Takaris kind of throws Xaden a softball. And to me, I really like Takaris. I think he's so fucking funny. When we were listening to it, I turned to you and I'm like, he just threw Xaden this softball. He knows exactly what he's doing.
Oh, yeah.
He starts to prod about Xaden's different titles.
Oh, should I call you Professor Xaden?
Yeah.
Or Duke. You're a Duke now.
You're a Duke now, right? And then Xaden's like, I don't know. Ask him what I should be. Da, da. And he's like, they're prodding at Halden's ego.
Yeah.
Right? Xaden picks up exactly what Takaris hands off.
Oh, yeah.
And he prods Halden, basically saying, you're under my rule, my jurisdiction, so I'm not a professor. And he's like, not a professor. And Xaden's like, cool, that's all I wanted to know. And he scoops up Violet. And meanwhile, Violet's like, he's got a fucking temper. Yeah. Stop. He's going to start throwing shit. Yeah. And you're going to lose it. Knock it off. Scoops up Violet. And he's like, we're going to go get some rest. Yeah. Because I'm not her teacher.
Boom.
Before anything cool can happen, though, Takaris knocks on the door. And he's like, hey, you can't show up to Devil Eye with him in a basket.
No. Devarelli is culturally not gonna be down with that.
They're gonna say no before we land. So I'll take Halden by ship. It's gonna take us 2 days.
Basically, I'm gonna separate you guys.
Yeah.
He says the ship takes 2 days to get there, and in her head, Violet was saying, "Okay, it actually takes. It's like a 14-hour flight, but with the Griffins, it'll be 16 hours, and with it'll take probably 18 hours with them holding on." Without holding onto the baskets and everything like that. And so the Takaris says, okay, just get there 12 hours after us. So basically you get to rest for as long.
Plan your shit.
It's going to
take us 48.
It's going to take us 48 hours. And then you need to come 12 hours later. Okay. So that way I can warn the islands that dragons are coming. So don't shoot.
Then Violet and Xaden have some alone time. He's like, are you okay? You're dizzy. I just want to make sure that you're okay. He keeps asking her if she is okay.
Well, she couldn't even stand. He had to use his shadows. Yeah. Excuse me. He had to use his shadows to just hold her up for that conversation on the stairs.
So Halden is going to meet with the King Courtland about the Citron and negotiate, and the rest are going to actually go find the merchant when they even get there. Okay. Takaris leaves them with a warning. King Courtland, I like rarities.
Yeah.
But he'll steal rarities. All right.
I make a deal.
Will hoard them. All right. Don't wander alone. Don't draw attention to yourself. And don't make a fucking deal you can't keep, motherfucker. Mm-mm. Okay?
Nope.
So a few hours later, they're able to rest. They're flying to Devarelli. And that's the feeling of the loss of magic from the continent to the Isles. Very different than being outside the wards. It's legit painful.
Yeah.
There's a painfulness to it. They land. Atrum is roaring at Riddick, shoots snot all over him because he's frustrated.
Oh, it's so gross.
I mean, their interaction, the amount of memes on Atrum and Riddick back and forth are freaking hilarious. Yeah. And Riddick turns around. He's like, I don't know what you're saying. And they realize no one else can talk to their dragons. Tarn can't talk to Seagull. The only people who can talk to each other are Tarn, Andarna, and Violet.
Yep.
Another thing in the plot that is said seems like a big fucking deal to me.
Yeah.
And they never really talk about it.
Well, and in the back of my head, I was like, is Violet somehow have power where there's not power? That's initially where my head went.
Mine went to Andarna. That has power that they don't understand.
Yeah.
So Violet does.
We don't know about Arids.
Right. But the fact that it goes to the two of them, too.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know.
I mean, it's awesome.
I think it's a lot. We also, in that moment in the beach there, Mira says it gives us a good chance to test out these ruins. So Tressa made a bunch of different ruins, and they wanted to test them outside of the wards to see if they still worked in the aisles. So she gives like Violet one like that's like basically sunscreen. They don't talk about this a ton. Sister. They don't talk about this a ton in the books, but I think it's interesting that they're trying to test what runes can do outside here as well.
Well, it's smart. It's planning ahead. Contingency planning.
Right. Takaris meets them. This is like his palace in Devarelli. He mentions that Halden hasn't woken up yet, but he's got a meeting, an urgent meeting. I'm sure you guys want to rest up. And Riddick's like, actually, we want some horses. Like, we want to go into town. And Takaris is kind of like, oh.
Why?
You guys are going to keep a low profile, right? And they're like, yeah, of course we are. Of course we are.
I just warned you that you need to make sure that like you don't shine your diamond so that way nobody tries to steal you.
Low profile.
Yeah. Keep it cool. Meanwhile, literally everywhere they go, like when they like landed even, the guards at the front gate and stuff were screaming, fire thrower, fire bringer, and like just running and screaming away.
Yeah.
So no matter what, just even the way they're dressed, even the way, well, I mean, they come in on dragons and stuff, just their culture, the way they walk.
But the way they're dressed screams Dragon Rider.
Yeah.
Right? So exactly. They know who they are, and they've never seen, it's pretty obvious they've never seen dragons before.
So they inherently stand out in a crowd.
Correct. Violet looks over on the beach, and Xaden is like looking out onto the ocean, and she's like, he actually looks like happy, at peace. And she goes over to him. He's like, go ahead and go in and rest. And she's like, you want to come out? And he's like, no, I'm just going to kind of absorb all of this. And he tells her, there's no magic here to taunt me.
No.
I
can finally breathe.
Running underneath me, taunting me to pull at it just to save everybody. Like, I feel at peace. I'm just going to kind of revel in this peace for a little bit. So, flash to the next, a little bit later, right? They just all went to freshen up. They're riding through town, and Xaden, like, actually asks Dane if him and Violet always rode together when they were growing up.
Yeah, he's, like, pleasant.
And everyone freezes and is like, stunned. And he's like, what? And they're like, Dane's like, no, it's just, you don't really ever acknowledge that, like, we grew up together and that, like, we were, like, best friends for most of our life. So
that we even knew each other before this.
So, but he answers this question. He goes, but yeah, we rode horses a lot, you know, when we were stationed at different places. And I think Mira's like, except for such and such, it was so cold. And they're like, yeah, oh my God, that sucked. And then, or Violet asked Xaden if he rode. And he's like, I think I rode before I walked.
Yeah.
Like, so they have this commonality of riding
where
horses
they're actually
together.
having like boyfriend-girlfriend conversations.
Right.
Like, they know each other's souls, but they actually don't know about each other.
In this whole conversation, Xaden's like smiling.
Yeah.
Winking, like super cute. I think he even gets down. Drake is like, I can't believe you let me take point. And he's just like looking at Violet, and he's like, I'm more than happy for you to die first, Drake. Like, I'm back here with my lady. And like fucking winks at Violet. And then he like helps her home and calls her like home at one point. Like, it's one of my loves or whatever. And Then you pan to Drake saying to Kat, is that the same guy? There's no way that's the same fucking guy.
That's not the same guy.
And then Riddick, I think, I'm going to quote him because he summed it up perfectly. Right after that, Riddick jokes, maybe this is who he could have been if his dad hadn't led a whole rebellion and fucked him over by getting executed and having him thrown into a quadrant and making him responsible for all the marked ones at the age of what? Like 17?
Yeah.
And Violet's like, pretty much. Yeah, I think that's probably it. Meanwhile, like you said, they are very obviously being noticed.
Oh, yeah. Everybody knows who they are.
Everyone in town. And they keep hearing people say, Firebringer, and like running back into homes. So as all these interactions are going on, everyone around them is terrified of them.
Oh, yeah.
And they're like kind of oblivious to it.
I think it's so funny how we know like 3 Xadens now. We have the Xaden that everybody thinks they know.
Yeah.
Then the pre-war Xaden that was like Kat's Xaden.
Right.
Then the Xaden that Xaden is frankly only with around Violet and evidently on this small island.
Yeah.
And then the Xaden who's a venin.
Yeah. Oh man.
He's got
personalities.
He got some personality.
So I think it was Drake comes out of one of the shops and he like pats his or maybe it was Xaden pats his pocket, right? Because he like bribed with jewels to get information on where Norelli is. So it's a bookstore.
Yep.
Down at the end. So they find the bookstore. They're like, how can this be this easy?
Yeah.
They walk in. Everyone is very instantly on edge. Violet's first kind of attributing it to like Mira and Dane and Xaden all take like flanking positions, like military
Mira
positions.
sets up a perimeter.
She does.
She sets up a perimeter. Xaden goes like and hides, like sits in the only area of the whole place that has any shadows.
Any shadows. Dane's like behind a bookcase, like behind glasses, like pacing. Like they're all like ready. Yes, they are very ready. And she asks, we're looking for Norelli. As soon as she says her name, the attendants like strike. Or they try very hard to. They go running. I think Xaden just takes a chair and like kicks it in front of the guy on his way.
And he like falls on his ass.
And he falls down. And then they get on the woman and like are holding her. And then an older woman starts to walk down the stairs, kind of hunch. Mm-hmm. And she shouts something in Krolvish. And Dane's like, or Violet's like, did she just say? And Dane's like, yeah, she said, Mom, save yourself. And Violet's like, we're not here. We come in peace. We're not here to kill anybody.
You attacked us. We just asked a question.
We are looking for Norelli. And she looks at her and she goes, you must be Norelli. Norelli notes her hair and her eyes. And she goes, you must be Asher Sorengale's daughter. And she's like, yes.
Yeah.
And then Norelli instantly goes, put that back where you found it, to Xaden about the chair.
Yeah.
Put my fucking chair back.
Yeah.
Tells her son, like, as he's getting helped up, I think he, like, broke his leg or something. She's like, I told you you weren't ready to have a weapon.
You're not old enough for this.
Or no, I think he fell on his own weapon, didn't he?
You're not mature enough.
Told you.
And also, Xaden told him earlier in the fight, like, your fault. Because you were going after her, you should have kept going after her. She's much more powerful than me. Like, you breaking focus with me was just your stupidest idea.
Oh, you don't know how to fight. Silly boy.
Man.
Silly boy. She's like, kind of forgive them. They
forgive
know
my
not
grandchildren.
What they do. They know not what they do. She goes on a lot of intellectual talking that drops these little nuggets as she's talking about it. So she refers to them as Almaris. Is that how you say it?
Yeah.
Which Violet has to remember. That's what
Amaralis.
They call Amaralis. Thank you. That's what they call the continent.
Yeah.
So we hear them being referred to this throughout the Isles instead of the continent. She says that they're not all that different, but they just are very more scientific. Like, you guys believe in all these gods. We don't. You know, things like she compares Xaden and Violet to alchemy. Yeah. Right? Two substances that combine to make something entirely new. She heard Xaden say that if you went anywhere near Violet, like, I'm gonna kill you. And she said how illogically toxic of you.
That's embarrassing.
That's embarrassing.
But also, all of those book readers are going, I would die for you.
I was like, you're a little theatrical.
And I was like, yes, I'm in.
She goes, Asher talked about you and him and how utterly smitten he predicted you two would eventually be for each other. He described you almost perfectly, Dane Atos.
Oh!
And I just hear Mira.
Did he just call Xaden Dane? Oh my God.
Mira and Riddick lose it. Mira's like, I'm sorry. And she just keeps laughing. Dane's like scratching his neck and he's like, and she's like, what, you're not Dane Atos? He's like, that's actually me.
I'm over here. I'm the one with the broken Krovlish.
Oh, who's that then? And that's Xaden Ryerson. She knew instantly Finn Ryerson's son.
Oh yeah.
We also breeze over that a little bit. But that just tells you Naoli knows a lot about who they are and what's actually going on.
Well, it kind of wakes you up to the fact that, like, even though we were cut off, even though we were cut off from the world,
right,
they were still keeping tabs and had all the information.
Right. Spies.
Not spies, just people.
Whatever.
Spies. But so basically,
I had to make you laugh a little so you can loosen up.
Okay. Thank you. Perfect. So Narelle looks like she's a 90-year-old
It's
woman.
not Norelli.
I don't know. We listened to it together. Again, you blame me for the sound.
It's Norelli.
Okay. So Norelli is like a 90-year-old
I don't
woman.
know if it's Norelli, but I said Norelli, so now I'm going to make you say
Double down. Double down. Okay. So Norelli. Okay. What's her face? 90-year-old woman. Like her daughter is like the 60-year-old woman that started this whole thing.
She did yell at her, and she's like, "I'm 93. Okay, I'm not dead."
I'm still here.
I was like, damn. 93?
But basically she says
Asher was really risking some
he
shit
was.
with this lady.
He was. But she looks at Violet and is like, Asher risked his life for this.
Yeah.
And I've kept it here. I will not give you this if you are not worthy.
Yeah.
And so I have a test for you to see if you are worthy. And this is for you and only you. Which Mira's just like, well, fuck you, lady.
Bitch.
She
My
was,
dad.
it was
Dad,
my
you suck.
dad.
You suck, Dad.
He was my dad too, man.
Whatever.
And so she's like, I'm going to ask you 3 simple questions. Mm-hmm. First question's a snowball or a softball. It can be a snowball too. Who knows? But it's a softball.
Way to set that picture up. Could be a snowball. That's very Trump of you. It's a softball. Some people think of it as snowball. That could be softer. I don't even know. I don't know why he's from New York because they don't claim him. But I'm just saying. But it's a softball or a snowball.
Okay.
You choose.
But the first question is, what is the manuscript that your dad left you?
Okay.
And she actually names the manuscript. I don't even remember what it was, but that's an easy one because she only found her.
It was in the note of me telling you to come here, or him telling me to come here.
So I could only know to come here if I knew that. So that was an easy one. She got it right. Ding, ding, ding.
It was a snowball, if you will.
Yes. And so then she's like, okay, next snowball. This is a little bit larger of a snowball.
It's fluffy snow.
Let's just call it a pillow. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so the next question is, on chapter 14, there is the discussion of the second Karovlish uprising.
Uh-huh.
And she asks her,
what's your hypothesis as to why Crovelin uprising fell? Because of
Deverelli. And so she said, okay, they went back on their word. Obviously, there was some agreement. Mm-hmm. And when that agreement, the Karovlish didn't fulfill that agreement, they died. Everybody pulled out and they were able to kill them. And she's like,
she gave kind of the obvious
answer.
The
obvious answer to the question.
Right.
And immediately the lady's like, but why? What was the bargain that was broken?
Yeah.
And Dane in the background chirps. He's like, that's not fair. Like, how could she know that? But Violet says, I have an idea, but I don't know if I'm right.
I'm a little embarrassed to say it if I don't know if I'm right.
But, and she says to it in her own mind, like, or I'm kind of scared. I'm mostly scared that I am right.
Yeah.
And so she says,
you can't handle the truth.
She says, I think Karovla was in dragon trading.
They offered dragons.
And they couldn't fulfill it.
Yeah.
And everybody in the back was like, no, that wouldn't happen. Nobody's dragon dealing. And the 93-year-old lady looks back at her and she's like, provide your proof. And Dane is the one that's most aggressively like, no, that wouldn't happen. And she's like, and prove it to him. Convince Dane. And so Violet looks over at Dane and she says, okay, so we know there was a failed attempt at Athbean to steal something. And then that was 3 days before the massacre that actually ended the war, right? Where everybody pulled back and the rebels were able to like come and kill everybody.
Yeah.
So she's like, my hypothesis is that in that they were trying to go and steal dragons and they failed. And Dane's like, no, that wouldn't happen. She's like, okay, remember that time in my dad's office? Yeah. My dad was researching the second Kurova uprising. And in our office, he was drilling in a fact to me. And you were just so flabbergasted at the fact that they would do that for tail feathers. Why would anybody do that for tail feathers? It's not worth it. And then she's like, think about Korova language. And then think about the grammar and how the adjective is backwards.
Yeah.
And how it was translated. And he's like, shit, they were looking for feather tails.
Yeah.
So they were looking for hatchlings.
Yes. And he's like,
He's like, okay, you convinced me. We win.
I did like in there. She's like, remember, it's when you were obsessed with the
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah war. And he
He's
goes,
like,
it was a
okay.
big deal in 206. Okay.
Yes. But this also explains like her dad was researching this and then just went quiet.
Well, and he was, how her dad was like purposely planting things. She's like, he stressed the linguistics of things for a reason.
He taught me how to break this.
Yes.
He set me up for this.
Right.
And so then she's like, okay, after all of that uproar, I'm like, that has to count as 2 questions, right?
I was actually thinking it was 2 questions too.
But she's like, okay, 3rd question. So why did you leave the prince?
And she even said that she got real like TMZ, like okay, why'd you leave the prince?
Let's hear the tea. I was promised some. And she was like, caught him in an uncompromising position with his professor.
Yeah.
And the lady was like, more, why didn't you let him back? Like, did he come and beg? Like, what happened? Did you close that door?
Yeah.
And she was like, yes. And said, first of all, he didn't feel the way I felt about him. Uh-huh. And he would never come beg. And I'm better than that, right? I was never after a crown or anything. Yeah. I just saw him as just a shitty person. And I was over it. Right. And then even if he ever came back, I knew it was only because he liked the chase. Right. Like it was done. And she's like, okay, you know your worth.
Your dad would be proud.
Your dad would be proud.
I do like that as it happened, Dane instantly is like, asshole, why didn't you ever tell me? And she's like, what were you going to do? Go punch the heir to the throne? And he goes, yes. And Xaden goes, still might.
Yep. Still going to do it.
So they both found out that he cheated on him.
No amount of power is worth that kind of love.
That's the way your best friend from your childhood and the love of your life are supposed to react together about you being wronged about something.
I love, okay, so I wrote down, she said, no amount of power is worth that kind of love. Yeah. And I was like, that is so fucking true in so many aspects.
Oh, yeah.
Like, we can be strong, independent women. We can be by ourselves now. Fuck you all if you're not going to treat me the way I deserve.
Exactly.
But that's
what men are having a problem with.
Yeah.
Because they don't feel needed.
Yeah.
And what we need them for now are things within our generation and older that they were never taught.
Yeah.
So I do see how it would be scary and seem unreasonable.
Yeah.
But you guys are smart men. You can do it.
You can handle it, man. I trust you.
You can grow and you can change.
It's cool.
And you can not get so offended when someone gives you feedback. It's okay. Don't be so emotional.
We're going to get through it. Dane did so far.
Dane, if he wanted to, he would Atos.
And he's learning to.
He is.
He's learning to.
I'm very proud of Dane.
Good job.
Okay. And keep in mind, he's like 22 years old.
Yes. Most guys I know at 22 weren't that mature to actually recognize they have gaps.
You know what we don't talk about?
What?
Dane's mom.
Oh, yeah.
Who is Dane's mom?
So we don't know Atos's power, and we don't know who Dane's mom is.
Yes.
Shit.
We do know his power, but they're alluding here in this book, we haven't really gotten there yet, that he's more powerful than we think.
We don't know General Atos's power. Oh, we're talking about Dane. No, I think Dane. Yeah, there's something there. Okay, I can't wait to find out.
They don't talk about his mom ever.
No, that's true. I didn't realize that until right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Put a pin in it.
We'll
circle back around.
So there's 6 tomes, and all of them are password locked.
Mira gets a little snooty. Yeah. And it was like, can I carry them for her, or am I not allowed to touch them because blah, blah, blah. And Neralali... I don't know. She says, and that's why he didn't leave them to you.
Oh, she didn't have to twist the knife like that.
Mira could not
But
be a
she's
little
93.
bitch,
She
too.
doesn't give a shit.
She don't give a shit. She don't give a shit. They get back, and Xaden and Violet have a pretty hot scene because Xaden, he can't lose control. And I'll just say a couple of my favorite lines from this 3 to 4 page lovely scene that I have video evidence of Marisa not being able to handle it at all.
Luckily, we were listening to it at 2x.
True.
Just to try to go through it quick.
And then it's abs for days and days and it's smiles and it's that's how I listened to this wonderful scene just now. No, that is abs for days and days. I was like, ooh. He smirked at her and said, "There's no magic." And she's like, "But then and he's like, "There's no magic." And she's
Do
like,
you know that?
ooh.
I will say she was very slow on the uptake with this. I feel like as soon as they were like, we can't do magic, and he's like looking off at the balcony at the very, like right when they landed.
Yeah.
That's when I was like,
They
why
go
is he
both.
wasting his time on the balcony? Go give her something.
I instantly thought, they're going to have sex.
Yeah. And I'm like, why aren't you prioritizing that right now? You're looking at a balcony right now. I was like, he probably was like, she needs to
this is
be
a
noble.
plot hole. I think I'm just going to say that.
I could say he wanted to be noble and let her sleep, but I also can say she could have slept after.
True.
But anyway, go ahead.
Anyways, in this wonderful scene, we also heard it's fucking perfect, unrestrained, and absolutely greedy. I was like, yes. Thank you. Xaden also wanted her at full power. Wouldn't let her use the conduit just in case he lost control. She was at full power. So they broke some furniture as well.
They sure did.
Because they had to go back to the old school stuff where he would like smother with the shadows. She actually kind of starts crying during it. And he's like, "Am I hurting you? Oh, are you okay?" And she's like, "I'm fine. I just miss this." And he's like, "Oh my God, me too. I love you. I love you. No, I love you."
But they also were like mourning that they didn't feel like they were having all of each other because they
Agreed.
were in each other's brains.
Yes, which theatrical.
But there was also less theatrical stuff and more
I'll give him this.
very concrete
Physical
stuff.
We did
with
realize too, it's been 6 weeks since they had sex.
accurate anatomical verbiage. And lots of
She's still spouting her traumatized
lots of
description.
verbs. Lots of verbs.
Lots of verbs. Circling,
No,
thrusting.
we don't need those verbs
the right
read
spot.
aloud.
That's
no,
not a verb, but
no, we don't need any
I just said I was
adjectives
gonna
or
do-
verbs. Just stop with the adjectives and verbs
I'm
for a little
highlighting.
second.
This is the highlights. Jesus. Okay. Then we did find out they haven't had sex in 6 weeks, so I can I'll understand the theatricalness of this because of that. Right? It was very beautiful, love, connection. Everyone got theirs this time, and it was great. And at the end, Violet did ask him, "We should just take Dakaris up on his offer.
Yeah.
We could
Why don't
stay
we just
here.
stay? Look how happy you are.
I could research. You wouldn't have power, but you wouldn't move anymore. You wouldn't become ASIM at all."
Yeah.
And Xaden's like, "She's in pain.
I
Like
can't do that.
They can tolerate it, but like they're not happy. I can't do that." And Violet kind of felt like bad that she didn't think of
Yeah,
that.
I didn't even think of that. And
Yeah.
our dragons evidently come first.
And then in true Violet and Xaden sex life fashion, the entire squad is at their door.
Oh, of course. Of
Directly
course.
after having
Directly
sex.
afterwards, they knock on the door
Yeah.
and they're like, "Oh no, we're okay." And
Wait.
Riddick is like, "That's good to know, but
Sure.
we've got stuff going on out here. You need to come out now."
And then like I think Kat chimes in and then Mira's like, "Leave him alone." Da,
Yeah.
da, da, da. Xaden opens the door. They're all standing there. He's like, "What do you want?" And they all kind of look behind him and he looks behind and he's like, "Yes, the table is broken. What?" And Riddick's like, "Oh, we know what's going on in there."
Did
He's
you
like,
guys just break that?
"Yeah, did you break that?"
Which
He's
we
like,
know they all
like-
were in
like
the
we all
hallway.
didn't see-
There's not a sound shield. They heard it.
No, there was a sound shield.
They don't have magic. There's no sound shield.
Oh.
That makes it even weirder, right? They need to stop hanging out in the hallway outside while they're banging.
Either way, that's probably why Mira's like, you guys are fucking weird. But then Riddick's like, we didn't see that armoire getting pulled out of your room. And Mira's like, what? Like my sister. Anyways, what the fuck do you guys want? They're keeping Xaden.
Yeah.
What?
The prince got acquired.
They won't give him back, and you're the only aristocrat that they'll let in. So you have to go save him.
Yeah,
Xaden's
and
like,
we're gonna
"Fuck
go
'em."
ahead and leave because our dragons are really annoyed that we're still here.
Yeah, and Xaden's like, "Fuck him," and she's like, "You can't.
No,
We have to go save them." It's like, fine.
he's the heir to the throne, even though he's a whiny little B word. So basically, they decide they're going to fly there.
Yeah.
And so as they're flying, they see it, the palace.
So they get there. Xaden does his whole like aloof power thing at the front door. Like, listen, you're going to let me in. It's fine. Your king kidnapped our asshole prince, and I have this weird allegiance to somebody else, meaning Arik.
Yeah.
And I'm going to need the prick back. Can you open the door for us now? And he's like, all right, fine. Who's that? That's my consort. And Violet's like, the fuck?
Excuse me.
Wait.
Which they explain consort as like married.
Yeah.
I immediately go to like harem. Like,
Oh, no, a consort.
I know. That's
King consort.
I felt stupid when I kept reading, but I originally was just like, that's rude.
Obviously, you don't know fantasy
No.
or medieval literature.
But plan A is diplomacy.
Right.
Plan B is we're going to F shit up. When they went through, she was like, the guards came up to them and they started speaking Crovish.
Uh-huh.
And she's like, in her head, or she says out loud, like, dang, I wish Dane was here. And he's like, I hope I never hear that again.
I forgot about that. Those are words I hope I never hear again.
Yes. And so, you know, hey, get the prick.
Yeah.
You're the prick. What the prick? And so they get, you know, escorted in.
Uh-huh.
And it is noted that, like, okay, Taryn and Seagal, like, really can't go much farther.
Yeah.
Like, even though this is all open air, they're close enough that we can hear them if they holler. That, like, they're not getting through here. And there is this big, like, U table with Xaden is on the left side, you know, this person who is supposedly King Courtland, who is much younger than what they assumed he
Like,
would be.
she was saying, like, her age.
Yeah. And this is the middle of court.
Yeah.
And Takaris is there too.
Right.
And it's kind of just like, yeah, you can't really keep a king or a prince, a future king. Like, can we... Diplomacy, hello.
I think outside Riddick, Takaris might be my favorite.
Yeah.
I like Kat a lot,
No,
too.
Cat's pretty good. So Violet, while they're walking up, is kind of like, okay, so here's where everything is in the castle, like descriptions of like on the left is this, on the right is this bedroom and stuff like that. In front of us is the court. She's also talking a lot about culture things. And it's like, you can't lie. They will never trust you again once
Right.
you lie. They've always been like neutral in trade. They really respect like being fashionable and aristocrat, like upper class wasps. Let's call them just waspy.
Yeah, yeah.
Xaden actually says, so it just means like, don't lie and act like a rich, entitled dick. Got it. And so it's like,
Perfect.
okay,
You got it.
we got it. And so as soon as they walk in, Violet looks at Xaden and is like, what did you do?
Yeah.
And he's like, what? Why is it like, I did something. I didn't do anything. And literally.
I did what I was supposed to do.
Yeah. And he's like, I made a trade. And when he was like, didn't want to trade, I also offered him something else. And literally Courtland was like slams his fists on the table and is like, something that was not yours to give. And meanwhile, that whole time he was like turning a dagger in his hand. So this was a dagger that was like taken from Orisha. So
Yes.
it technically should be Xaden's. It was just acquired through war. And it's missing a diamond on the top.
Ruby.
A
Emerald.
ruby on the top. A gem on the top. We don't know what it is. It's a gem.
It's an emerald.
You bite your tongue, lady.
It is, guys. But what does he do with this dagger, Marissa?
He freaking throws it.
He doesn't throw it.
He stabs.
When you said he pounded the table, he stabbed the fucking knife.
into his hand. And so Halden is sitting there with his hand just like, what'd you do? Da, da, da. And he's like, dude, just pull it out and wrap it up. You're being a little bitch.
He basically did.
He said, quit being a little bitch.
He's like, it's between this thing and this thing. It's fine. You're okay. Blah, blah, blah. You know?
Yeah.
And meanwhile, Violet's like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Like,
okay. Shit got real.
I totally went from, WB Dragon Story to Game of Thrones.
Yep.
Like, whoa.
Oh, okay. Okay. Got real.
Noted. The aisles be different, bro.
Okay.
This
You guys
is
would
different.
fit much better in our culture than the Paromish. I mean, they don't even have their cadets die to get into the college.
My note here says, Cortland, rub some dirt on it.
Yes.
The way you described it was like perfect.
Yeah.
So in that claim, like, it wasn't yours to give, Xaden recognizes it. He's like, it's mine.
Yeah.
And Cortland was basically like, I mean, normally, if it's yours, it's yours. What is it? Onus is, or property. What is that saying?
Possession is 9/10 of the law.
Possession is 9/10 of the law. But it's interesting that he would choose this artifact to give. Like, this is what would make you flip out.
Yeah.
And frankly, I probably would have been fine with it had he not already broken his word.
Yeah.
And then 3 fucking white panthers walk up. And he's like, oh, hold on 1 second. Look, my babies are here.
Aren't
Shira,
they beautiful?
Sheena, and Shora. Like, total power move. They go around this circle and, like, place themselves in between each one of them. Cortland, so it's very much a power move. Like, they're kind of on, like, the step behind them all. Cortland then asks Xaden if he's going to honor the same deal. And Xaden's like, well, I kind of need to know what the deal is before I'm going to honor it. And Cortland, as Xaden is saying, well, I would assume it's this. Like, we're going to have...
This is the deal I would secure.
And we've gone over it multiple times. Cortland kind of interrupts him, cuts him off at the end. And he says, who are you loyal to? Your dad led a rebellion. You seem to be doing the same. And he says, well, I'm loyal to Violet.
Yeah.
And then Turandor. And then Narav, when it's worthy, which
Navarre.
is usually when... and then Navarre, when Navarre is worthy of it, which is usually if Violet's there.
Yeah.
Basically. Go back to point 1.
I'm in if Violet's in.
So Xaden asked to start their trade. Back and forth again for the war. It's profitable. And Cortland cuts him off and is like, we don't involve ourselves with venin at all. And we're going to remain neutral.
Yeah.
And then Violet's kind of trying to probe him a little bit for information on, but you did have venin, right? And he's like, if you're implying that we wouldn't be able to defeat them.
That's not how you make a deal here, lady.
That you don't know what's going on. Meanwhile, these dessert plates are brought out and kind of put in front of all of them. And
you missed
servers,
the main course.
so here's the dessert, right? And he had already said, we're going to have dessert. You missed the meal as soon as they sat down. And so they're waiting. And Cortland, like, calls the Panthers to come closer. And Tarn's like, I'm not interested in you getting eaten by a house cat. I'm like, I'm pretty sure they're not house cats.
Yeah, she's like,
I'm good.
It's good. It's good. We're
Leave
fine.
it alone. But Tarn's like ready and ready to pounce. They come closer. They reveal and open the discs. They're huge slabs of meat.
Yes.
That she said had to have come from some large animal. The Panthers grabbing it. She said pulling it across the white linen. And as she's watching that, Xaden's like, look. In front of Halden is his guard's head. She's like, those strawberry curls are unmistakable. And he's like, you murdered her. And they had alluded
Halden,
that
he
was fucking with her. Like, it was kind of his girlfriend too. And Cortland is like, she was caught in the treasury with 6 different items and a list of 5 more in your handwriting. And Halden's like, we were taking back what was ours. And Violet's like, you dumb
You're
fuck.
such an idiot.
You are such an idiot. She also reaches out to Tarn and is like, shit's about to pop
happening.
Off. Get Seagal, however you need to get her, and get close.
Yes.
Be ready. Be ready to pounce.
Be ready.
So she preps everybody like this. Cortland's like, they were given to us as payment. Meanwhile, they're like still fighting.
Yeah.
Halden's like, you took advantage of us and took those things. It's an insult to the Isle. Halden's like, fuck you. And like, oh God, she
He's
just
an
told
idiot.
this king to fuck off.
Well, and the irony here is that he just admitted to doing the same thing with the dagger.
Yes.
In a time of war, he took something invaluable
And
to Tyrandor.
Right.
And now he's going to steal because
it's
he's
like,
righteous.
Also, Halden, make that part of your deal.
Yeah.
Because the deal happened.
Yeah.
They have it, whether they took it or they didn't. But good businesses, we want our artifacts back.
Yeah.
Xaden cuts him off and asks Cortland to honor the deal with Tyrandor then.
Yeah.
Don't, fuck them. Fuck Navarre. Honor with us. We'll make sure it's only Orishan riders that visit. Navarre will have nothing to do with it. Xaden's trying to make the deal, and he's like, the artifact I'll offer you. And he starts to open his bag, and Violet's absolutely not.
You've given enough.
So it's the sword of Tyrandor that made him a duke, essentially. Yeah. Halden keeps going in the background. He's still running his mouth this whole time. And Cortland's like, I've heard enough. Takaris can live. Kill the rest of them.
Yeah.
Uber awesome fight scene where they're knocking guards out. They're purposely trying not to kill them, for foreign relations.
How much is Halden helping?
Not at all.
Yep. He is knocked out almost instantly.
Pretty much right away. It's like, doink, and Halden's out. All right. But Xaden and Violet are yin-yin and yang-yin, and they're doing a great job. In this, Violet got a cut. Xaden sees it, and he fucking loses it.
He loses it.
She said she sees an onyx swirl in his eyes, and they refer to this as him being on ice.
Yes.
A lot. There's a chill to his shadow, onyx swirl in his eyes. She says what's weird is he kisses her head right before she turns and sees him twist his hand. His shadows do explode, and it snaps. You hear the snaps of the necks.
Yes.
And he drops a piece of alloy from her conduit.
Yeah.
So that's how he got the power to siphon as a venin to do it.
The crazy thing is, it's exactly what happened when he found Oren in the room.
Yes.
As soon as he saw it, he just went, they're all fucking dead.
They're all dead.
They're all dead.
But they're in a place with no magic. And the only way he could do that is by being able to draw that power from the conduit. Violet instantly goes into mother hen mode.
Yes.
And turns to him. He covers his eyes right away. He knows.
Yeah.
She goes, sit down, put your hands on your head, stay there. She reaches out to the dragons and is like, get close now.
Yeah, get close now. And so he walks away. Halden is waking up from being hit and is like, what just happened? What? Did Ryerson just ruin everything? And he, after that huge fit that he threw, he started saying,
you're lucky you're
blaming
not dead,
on him.
Bitch. You're
and so she just totally ignores, again, the prince, the voice for Navarre, who would stereotypically be seen as the most powerful. She just looked right at Cortland and is like, okay, obviously Ryerson feels really bad that just happened, but you did just attack 2 royals.
Yeah.
And
you kind of deserved it.
Right. And by the way, when you were yelling and we were kicking your ass, you did yell, kill them so that way their dragons die. That's not even how dragons work.
They would have lived and you just would have pissed them off.
Yeah, you would have made them mad. They would have eaten you. Right. And then they would have went back and told everybody what just happened.
You really would have had fucked yourself.
Everybody. Yeah. And for somebody who is in trade, that's really not a good look, brah.
Not a good look. Pretty stupid.
Yeah.
Dumb.
So given that, let's start negotiations. How about I lead? So each one of you grown ass men could not handle yourself. So now I am taking charge. And I am a 2nd-year cadet. That is my qualifications.
Yeah.
But I'm a badass bitch.
She doesn't announce this. This is internal dialogue, guys.
No. Well, I mean, she does tell everybody what's up, but her internal dialogue is like, I'm not qualified for this.
Imposter syndrome.
But you guys are idiots.
Yeah. Well, first Cortland's like, Shira, attack.
Oh, yeah.
And then his eyes get all wide and she turns around and he's like, and Darna's got Shira in his mouth.
Yeah.
Holding the paws outside. And she's like, she's even pursing her lips so that she doesn't drool on her.
Yeah.
That's so sweet.
Yeah. And so
she's like, this is my little girl.
I really tried to get you twice to do the right thing. And so now your little itty bitty cute house cat is with my fucking dragon.
My baby.
And you know what? That's my first of 2 dragons.
Yeah.
And we're really trying to teach her to not eat allies.
It's like a thing.
It's a thing. She's working through it. You know, teenagers.
We even have a little haiku that we say.
But if she thinks we're not even allies, all bets are off.
Right. And guess what? Seagal and Tarn will just get a little snack before we have to head back 24 hours the other way.
So, again, would you like to start negotiations?
He says yes. She's like, get me Halden's weapons.
Yes.
Now.
And so Halden has to get his weapons. He gets Ryerson's weapons.
Doesn't he say, thanks for ruining it, Ryerson? Or something like that. Like he tries to get it in again.
Idiot. He's such an idiot. And so she communicates with Taryn to go. There's like a scribe like version for their area that like comes running out. It's like, Prince Cortland, are you okay? And he's like, no, we're starting negotiations. Tell everybody to come in. We're going to have a meeting. Let's get this going.
Meat and blood. And,
yes.
You know, meanwhile, Violet's like putting the weapons back in Xaden and is like, Seagal's over the hill.
Yeah.
I'll see you at Basgaiath in a week.
I'll see ya. Okay. So then the terms are, of course, Xaden is pardoned and he can be one of the people that come back.
Right.
Because again, you tried to kill us and it's not our fault we kicked your ass.
And I'll give you a really cool gift for letting that happen.
Yeah. And this really cool gift, and she brings her bag out, and it is Andarna's shell.
Well, at first, Cortland's like, you don't think I've fucking seen a dragon egg before? Like, it's not that mysterious, honey. Yeah. And she's like,
boyfriend.
This is no ordinary egg.
No, it is not. This egg is from a 7th species of dragon called the Irids.
You expect me to believe?
And Andarna is behind her.
She faded into the foliage. So it looks like his panther is just like hanging in midair.
This is effing dragon shit.
He's like, wait, this is that egg?
Yes.
This is her egg?
Yes.
Deal.
It is literally one of its kind as of right now. Yes.
I accept. On the terms of what? I'll accept, but
Halden never steps foot on this land ever again.
Or I get to kill him.
And Violet's like, yep. And Halden's in the background like, what? No, come on, Violet.
I said done.
Yeah, we're done. But then he actually looks at her and says, hey, you want to do another deal? Are you interested in another deal?
Fade to black.
That's the end of this episode. Ta-da!
Good job.
I actually, these first 2 parts, they were interesting. They were just long.
A lot of important but not super interesting stuff happened.
Yes. But I do like that we're learning a lot more about dragon and rider relationships outside of...
I mean, this last interaction at Deverelli was the most interesting, probably because like Halden got stabbed like right away and someone's head was on a platter. I'm like, this is the kind of shit I'm talking about.
Yeah, this was not what I expected from a trade community, but okay.
Oh, I didn't think of that.
Well, and I'm really like fiending for some what are
a map
in the
of the aisles. Me too. I would like to know where the fuck we are right now.
Maybe there's a map in one of the many, many books that she got.
Can I
get
that? Can I get a little bit of that map?
Okay. I will have AI draw you an effing map.
I would like that.
Okay.
But
we'll work on it.
Rebecca to approve it because obviously.
Okay. Well, we will at Rebecca our rendition and see what she thinks.
God, so stupid.
Okay. So in this section, what's your favorite part?
A lot of it is like evolvement, right?
Yeah.
Like it's I tended to note every time Riddick had an interaction because he brought joy and great banter to every situation.
Yeah.
So I think Riddick's involvement into it has been pretty cool.
Yeah. I feel like my favorite part is the love triangle because of 2 things. One, it is a very complex love triangle.
Halden,
Again,
Xaden.
Halden. So Halden is Violet's first love.
Uh-huh.
Xaden is Violet's current love. Xaden killed Halden's twin brother.
Right.
Halden is the prince who will reign over this, like, somebody in succession, the Duke, which is the second highest title in this land.
Right.
So technically he reports into eventually Halden.
Right.
So this is a very complex triad.
But
not only that,
but we're hearing it through Violet's mind, and she's not complex about it.
Exactly. That's what I love. Because usually with a love triangle in stories, I get over it because I'm like, feels like borderline like leading both on, or borderline like,
is this a why choose
do I
romance
love
or
you?
what? Yeah.
Do I love you?
Yeah.
Like, and it's like, if you say you love this one, why are you almost kissing the other one?
So you like this because it's funny, basically?
I like it because it's they keep it, Rebecca kept it interesting while also drawing a very like moral, like
creepy.
Immediately she's like, I love him. I've never thought of you. Literally, it's proof that she's never longed or been worried, or when Art came, it's like, oh my gosh, remember like Halden? There's literally none of that. Xaden didn't even know he existed because she didn't think of him because the door was closed.
She also didn't hold it against Xaden for having the feelings.
Yeah.
Then that would have been annoying too. If it's
exactly.
Like,
so she's like, she drew a very specific line.
Yeah.
She said, not going to have it. But it was still an interesting triangle.
The other, I have another event.
Yes.
When Naranelli.
See, every time you mispronounce something after we just listened to it, I'm going to just feel righteous.
You should.
Okay. It's Norelli.
When Norelli called Xaden Dane.
Oh, that was so good.
Because I pictured it in my face. He's been all happy and like chipper and on his horse.
And then it's like immediately like
Dane Atos, and he's like, and Dane's
awkward. Mira thinks it's hilarious. Mira and Riddick. Well, no, Riddick's outside with the horses, but Mira's just cracking her ass up.
That and Riddick through the whole book. That's going to be my answer forever. So don't let me say it the next episode because I'm not allowed to.
I'll yell at you.
Riddick is making the entire
book
is
interesting.
Yeah. Allowing his comic relief is allowing her to dump lots of information that she has to dump to get to the full plot in an amusing way.
Yeah. Perfect.
Who do you wish we knew more about?
Andarna. That's an easy one.
That's an easy one.
I mean, I'm craving information about this whole species.
Yeah.
Like I am, and this is why me and you are probably reacting differently, because you know me, when we read stuff, I'm like so into like, what's the background and this history behind what just happened. Isn't that cool? Yeah, I'm a scribe. And so I am craving, like, the world opened up, and I'm really depressed about the whole idea that Xaden's venin. So I was actually really depressed coming into reading this book because I had hit the like, I can't take another hit.
Yeah.
I need some hope.
It's too much.
It's too much. So just, I want to know about irids and why do venin want them? And are there any more? And what is the powers with them? And we like just now figured out that she can turn different like colors, right?
Yeah.
So she has power, like so much power.
We're getting little bits, like so many little tiny bits that make you do one.
I mean, she has to have some amount of power because she can change.
She's the key to
her
something.
scales.
Like, it's not just the ward stone.
And she keeps saying, I can burn a venin.
Well, she thinks she can cure Xaden, right? But she's young, so she's not able to get her, like, voice across a lot. But there's a key, if not multiple keys, to everything.
Yeah.
And we don't have that knowledge. Yeah, I could see that. Character-wise.
Riddick.
You want to know more about Riddick? I feel like we're getting a lot about Riddick. I actually want to know more about Sawyer. I think there's a lot of deepness there. Sawyer and Jasenia's like relationship and stuff.
Yeah.
And I also think, I obviously want to know more about Imogen and Garrick, but I don't think a lot's happening yet.
Yeah.
But if we talk about in those terms of like relationship.
Like relationships.
And that,
okay.
But I think I want to know Sawyer and Jasenia. I think it's like cute. There's something budding there, and he's got his own struggle.
Yeah.
She has her own struggle. There's like a disability thing there for both of them. I think there's like a cool
thing.
I just want to know more.
Aw.
I feel bad for Sawyer. I want to help him through it.
Yeah.
We're going to get to see more.
I'm okay with the amount of love interest that's happening right now.
Well, if we
I don't
tone
need a
down
new
the
one.
theatrics of the Xaden, venin, Violet thing, we could have time and space
So
for maybe some more entertaining love stories. Like Garrick and Imogen.
no,
I'd read a
stop.
novella on them.
I am focused on the current love story. It is very entertaining with all of the
You
floweriness.
can handle more.
But I will say, I want to know more about Arik. Like about the relationship of him
Yes.
hiding from his brother when that's his
Yes.
only brother.
Yeah. And we don't even know the tip of it
We
yet.
don't even know anything about that relationship. We know that
Even-
they're looking for him.
Yeah.
We know that they were close enough that he immediately knew, based on the password, that one of the answers might be Halden.
Yep.
And like even made like an inside joke. So they know each other well enough. I want to know more about him.
Yeah. All right, you guys. Well,
Can you say that over again? Because that was a really weird tone.
all right, you guys.
No, I'm just kidding. That one was good. That was good.
Whoop, whoop. So thank you for talking high tales with your favorite lit sisters.
Goodbye.
Bye. Goodbye.
Goodbye.